Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen is about as classic as love stories get. Originally, Pride and Prejudice was published anonymously by the author of Sense and Sensibility, and Sense and Sensibility simply said, by a lady. During Austen's life, she would never see her name in the byline of one of her novels. Despite societal rules on the women's place in the world, Jane was able to profit from her books socially and financially for a time. Jane Austen's life story is worth reading, and for the nonfiction lovers, I would recommend Jane Austen, A Life by Claire Tomalin. For my Pride and Prejudice fans out there today, we're going to look at 10 retellings of Pride and Prejudice. And yes, this time there will be 10. Did any of you catch I missed number 4 in our last video? This is the book list. Number 1, Aisha at Last by Uzma Jalaluddin. This retelling is a unique take with a modern Muslim woman as the main character. The book is not strictly a retelling. The trope of enemies to lovers is there, but it's not so copy and paste as some of the other retellings. Aisha at Last is author Uzma's debut album and has received some raving reviews on Goodreads. Uzma Jalaluddin is a Canadian Muslim herself, and reading this book could be used as a prompt for our Canadian Pop Sugar participants. Number 2, Unequal Affections, a Pride and Prejudice retelling by Laura S. Ormiston. This retelling is more of a reimagination. This story uses all of our favorite old friends and rewrites the story with more of a focus on Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth. This is a good one for Pride and Prejudice enthusiasts who just want a little bit more. Number 3, The Bachelors by E.S. Carter. The Bachelors takes an alternate route and is more of an inspired by than a reimagination. Darcy Austen and Eliza Bennet are a contemporary take on Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth. There is a twist in this book and notes of naughtiness in the Goodreads description, so you are forewarned. Another bonus with this book is author E.S. Carter is an indie author, meaning she independently publishes her English work. Number 4, First and Then by Emma Mills. First and Then is a YA take on the classic. This contemporary look at high school life includes modern-day themes and nuances, not the same insults you found in the 1800s original. Emma Mills is praised for bringing light and joy into her writing, and this book would be a great option after another book chews you up and spits you out. Number 5, Bridget Jones' Diary by Helen Fielding. This is arguably the most popular remake of Pride and Prejudice, since it does have its own feature film. This book is filled with British humor to keep you laughing. The book is formatted like a diary though, so if that kind of writing style isn't your thing, skip to the next book. Number 6, First Impressions, an Amish tale of Pride and Prejudice by Sarah Price. This book is the first in a Christian series. This is an interesting take because it's more modern, but it follows a community of people who stay away from modern innovations. This is probably the closest a modern story will get to the original. In this series, Elizabeth and Sister Jane attend singings instead of regent balls, but I believe you'll enjoy the adaptation all the same. Number 7, Fitzwilliam Darcy, Traitor, a Pride and Prejudice variation by Jennifer Joy. This variation of Pride and Prejudice is a clean romance filled with suspense. This one has a unique twist that will keep you guessing and definitely is not the same outcome you read in the original story. This book is also conveniently a Kindle Editions publication, so you can download it now. Number 8, Hearthstone by L. Catherine White. Maybe you need more fantasy in your book list this year. Hearthstone is a reimagination of Pride and Prejudice with main character Eliza living in a world of dragons. This tale comes with lots of fantasy, an epic adventure, and of course a Darcy-like character. Hearthstone is the first in a series by the same name and will give you hours of good reading. Number 9, Pride, Prejudice, and Other Flavors by Sonali Dev. This is an interesting gender bend. Mr. Darcy is a female Dr. Trisha Raj, and Elizabeth is a male DJ. Even though Trisha is a successful neurosurgeon in San Francisco, she's still considered the black sheep of her Indian immigrant family, and falling for a DJ is not in her future plans at all. Number 10, Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies by Seth Graham. That's right, zombies. If you don't enjoy horror and an element of science fiction, this one will not be for you. This is described as an expanded version of the story. The story is very similar to Austen's version, but includes a plague and a zombie invasion. Elizabeth must navigate the ins and outs of the gentry while also fighting against flesh-eating beasts. And this wraps up our list of 10 books that retell the famous story of Mr. Darcy and Elizabeth Bennet. Have you read Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen, or any of the retellings listed here? If you've read one of these, leave us a like below and tell me, what will you read next?